Of the Wakf Commission, and that is the establishment of the Qadi's courts. Both the old constitution and the new one that is in operation from 2010, they both provide for the establishment of the Qadi's courts, but with very limited jurisdiction, only on Muslim personal matters, marriage, divorce, and succession. But you find that the Qadi also has a role in the operations of the Wakf Commission, as I'll be sharing later. It's important also to appreciate that when we talk about Islamic social finance, we are talking of issues that fall within the purview of the freedom that we have been given to practice our religion. Because when you talk about the institution of Wakf, the institution of Zakah, these actually fall under what we can call the freedom of religious practice, and this is provided for. And for me, these are opportunities that we need to make use of when we talk about advancing Islamic social finance in this country. We need also to appreciate another fact that is very important, that we have several legislations that recognize and sometimes exempt Muslims from the operation of certain specific clauses within them. For example, we have the law of succession that affects everybody in Kenya. But when it comes to Muslims, Muslims have been exempted from the operation. Again, the Education Act recognizes the specific sensitivities within the Muslim community, and we're allowed. The Marriage Act also find that Muslims are exempted from certain operations. Why am I mentioning this? It's just to show that there are many opportunities, even within a legal framework that is not Islamic, but alhamdulillah, because of the efforts made by some of our forefathers, or even current Muslim leadership, we have these windows of opportunities that we can use to advance Islamic social finance in this country. Again, something that I know Dr. Balushi will be mentioning, sometimes there is this impression that Muslims are only in one region. And actually, one of the main reasons why Muslims agitated for the review and amendment of the current Wakf Commissioners Act is because it created the impression that Muslims are only found in one area. But it's important to know that Muslims are all over the country, but we have regions that are traditionally associated with Islam, and Muslims are predominant. And these are the regions within the coastal province, and these are the regions that actually were under the 10-mile coastal strip that was administered from Zanzibar by the Sultan of Zanzibar. Again, sorry, it's not embarrassed, but embraced. Sorry, it's just a typo error. Kenya has embraced Islamic finance. We need to know that. That is finance, commercial finance. We have several full-fledged Islamic financial institutions in this country and very many windows. And I happen to be the chairman of one of the largest Islamic commercial banks with an Islamic window, and that is the Kenya Commercial Bank in this country. I thought it's important to share some of these facts. Now, when you talk about the status of Wakf in Kenya, it is important to understand and appreciate certain historical facts. Wakf as an institution in Kenya or in the Kenyan coast actually is older than Kenya as a country. It predates Kenya. Wakf as an institution goes back to the Sultanate of Zanzibar in 1832, where the Wakf properties were administered, but not by a stand-alone institution, but within the Baitul Mal and the public treasury. So Wakf property was administered or managed through the Baitul Mal. But in 1900, there was the first legislation under the Sultanate of Zanzibar. In 1900, now there was a Wakf legislation, but only put in force by establishing the first Wakf institution 4 years later. And there came up something called an institution called the Wakf Commission, the Commission of Wakf and Trust Property, whose mandate was to administer inheritance and all Wakf properties donated by Muslims. So that history is important, because when we look at the current Wakf Act in Kenya, it talks about the coast, and it's like the Awqaf can only be established in the coast province. It is because of this history, and also the fact that the 10-mile coastal strip was not considered as part of Kenya. It was considered as part of the Sultanate of Zanzibar. Now, fast forward, 1951, we have this legislation that was enacted, which is called the Wakf Commissioners Act. And actually, Dr. Bulushi currently is operating under that act, which was established. You can imagine it was enacted in 1951, and this was meant to be a corporate body, an independent body, the purpose of which was to administer Wakf properties donated by Muslims. Under that act, which is still in operation until we get a new one, which maybe Dr. Bolucci will be talking about in details, it has several provisions. Key among them is about the composition of the Wakf commissioners. First of all, even from the title of the act, you find there is a problem, because it does not talk about the commission, it talks about the commissioners, yet it is supposed to be talking about the institution. Actually, one of the reasons and one of the areas that we agitated for amendment is actually the title itself. I just want to pick some of the areas that are of concern to us. One of them is about the composition of the commissioners and the role of the government in the appointment of the commissioners. And I want to share with you a very disappointing story, personal story. I am the first ever non-Costarian to be appointed as a Wakf commissioner. I did not apply, and Sheikh Khalfan, I did not campaign for it. I just saw my name in the Kenya Gazette. You have been appointed as a Wakf commissioner in the Wakf Commission. Said, Alhamdulillah, I was the first non-Costarian. I went there, but it did not last long before somebody from Malindi came and said, we have representation from Lamu, we have representation from Kwale and Mombasa, we do not have any representation from Malindi. How can you have somebody from Bara? Those who understand Kiswahili, it means the hinterland, non-Costarian. And Sheikh Khalfan, I was unceremoniously de-gazetted. Reason, I am non-Costarian. I'm not from the coast. This actually amplified the fact that the Wakf Commission, the Wakf Commissioners Act is only operation, or is only meant to serve the Muslims in the coast province, actually. Again, the role of the provincial commissioner here, who is a government servant, representative of the office of the president, single-handedly picked me, maybe he consulted with a few people, and again, when he was consulted by other people, he again unilaterally degazetted me. I remember writing a letter just saying, I'm not worried about being degazetted, but it has gone on record. In future, people will be reading that I was degazetted. They might think maybe I was corrupt. No, it is just because I did not belong to the coast. Again, something else that we need to appreciate here. This commission was intended to be independent. But as it is, you find that the law gives an upper hand to the government representatives. The provincial commissioner, and this is a position that no longer exists now after we adopted the new we promulgated the new constitution. This is a position that is no longer there, but that is a government representative. And actually, he's the most powerful person in this commission. Then number two, another government servant, the chief Qadi. By virtue of his office, he is the chairman of the commission. So one thing that we need to appreciate here is that the commission was intended to be independent, but independent of the state. But you find that the state actually has an upper hand in the commission. Okay. Then why is the screen not moving? Yeah. Okay, for those who are not conversant with Kenya, when I talk about the coast, I mean this area here, this area up to here. I don't ask me why this one has gone deep inside Kenya, but this is how the administration decided it should be. So when we talk about coast, that is the coastal region. But when we, for the purpose of the Wakf Commission, actually you limit yourself to this area here. It is this area here. Maybe even Kwale, not very much. Dr. Bolushi will confirm, but it's actually this. Yet, Taita Taveta here is part of the coast, and Tana River also is part of the coast, but actually it's just limited to here. I decided to share this map for the purpose of our guests who are not conversant with Kenya. Some of the challenges that I know even Dr. Balushi is facing today. The Act, 1951 Act, is obsolete now, actually. It is not in conformity with our constitution now. It talks of structures that do not exist anymore. More importantly, it is only applicable to the coastal strip of Kenya that I shared with you. From the title, again, you find there is a problem. Instead of talking about the institution, it is talking about individuals within that institution. Again, when you look at the definition of who a Muslim is, actually, it is very restrictive and discriminative. It is not inclusive of every Muslim. More importantly, actually, it is unconstitutional as it is. Actually, today, Dr. Balushi, somebody can come up and say, you are unconstitutional because the act and the structures that it has created are not in conformity with the Constitution of Kenya. So these are some of the challenges from the law itself. Then there are other challenges which we can call administrative challenges. And as I said earlier, the commission, which is supposed to be independent, actually is under state control. You find that an employee, a civil servant, is actually controlling who can be a commissioner and who can be degazetted. Again, there is a lot of property. And I know one of the biggest tasks that my brother, Dr. Bolushi, has today is to try and regain control over the Wakf property, where millions worth of property are not actually in the control of the Wakf Commission. Again, there is no proper mechanism of managing the Wakf property. Some of the properties actually have fallen into disuse. Some of them are so dilapidated. Some of them actually are under the control of other people, not the commission itself. And for me, the biggest concern, and actually any Muslim who is concerned about issues of the Ummah or matters of the Ummah, it is the gross undervaluation of Wakf property and the rental income that is grossly below the market rates. I was once surprised to be told that some of the beneficiaries of the Wakf property, they pay more to travel in a tuk-tuk, that is the mode of transport, to take the check to the Wakf Commission. That check has less value than what they pay for the tuk-tuk. Now, taking the tuk-tuk from one point to another in Mombasa could be around 400 shillings.
It's
maybe the check that that person is holding to take to the commission is worth less than the 400 shillings. And you find that the commission, under the law as it is now, the hands are tied. They cannot review the rent which was provided for under a contract, a lease agreement that was signed in 1960, where somebody was supposed to pay 400 Kenya shillings. For those who are not conversant with our currency, that is about $4 US dollars. on a property that today is worth 400,000, okay, whose rent is 400,000 Kenya shillings, almost $500,000 Kenya shillings. That is almost 5,000 US dollars. So you find that there's a big challenge when it comes to administration, and I would really love to hear how my brother is grappling with that before the new law actually comes into force, which actually will give him a lot more powers to deal with this issue. Again, the misuse of properties, Wakf property, sometimes used even for businesses that are seriously haram. It's not enough just to say haram, but seriously haram. It is not uncommon for you, as you walk in the streets of Mombasa, somebody points out at a nightclub and tells you that nightclub sits on Wakf property, but the Wakf Commission cannot do anything about it. It's being misused. I remember even when we started the process of reviewing the law, we were interrupted and taken to court because somebody somewhere who we believe, and is a Muslim, a prominent Muslim, is misusing Wakf property, and they did not want the law to be reviewed because they are beneficiaries of the status quo. Again, there has been no efforts to acquire new Wakf. I cannot blame the commission here squarely, but partially. The other reason is that people have lost confidence in the commission itself. And I don't want to blame the commission, it's because of the law itself. So people have lost trust in the commission. Even now, this morning I was telling Dr. Balushi, after the law is assented to by the president, we need to do a lot of campaigns to regain that for the commission to regain that trust and confidence, because the public has lost, to a large extent, they have lost confidence in the commission. Again, the running of the institution itself, insufficient resources. I don't know now, maybe after Dr. Balushi took over, maybe things are better, but I remember for the few days I was there before, I was unceremoniously degazetted. Even the tea that we were taking, we were told that it is out of monies put in a riba earning account, and the riba was what was used now to buy tea for us as we meet. I remember myself and another lawyer, we decided we don't want to take that tea. Of course, now things have changed. We have Islamic banks. They can put their money there, and I believe that's where they are banking their money. But actually, the institution is cash-starved. I don't know how it is now. Dr. Balushi will share with us. Again, because of lack of resources, it was very difficult for the commission to attract professionals to work for it. So actually, it was being run in a very unprofessional way. Actually, it is now that I can say confidently that it's moving now towards being run professionally. Then many Muslims are not even aware there is something like the Wakf Commission. And for the few who know that there is an institution like that, they're not even aware of what it is supposed to do. Then negative publicity. That's why, my brother, your job is cut for you. You have a lot on your desk. May Allah help you, inshallah. Just to share an example of the grossness in the Wakf property. I have the names of these properties, but as a lawyer, I am sensitive. I know I can easily be taken to court, so I decided to use letters here. There is a big property here. This is an agricultural land. The current rental income, what the commission is earning now from that is 750 shillings, but the market rate is 28,000. You can see what percentage that is. There is another property here. What the commission is getting from it monthly is 600 shillings, $6. And what actually it's supposed to fetch, if we were to go to look at the market rate, it's 127,000. There's another property here. What the commission is getting from that is 1,370, but the market rate is 40,000 Kenya shillings and property D. So you can imagine, this is just to give you a picture of the status as of now, and this is what my brother Dr. Balushi has to grapple with and make sure it changes. Alhamdulillah, we say every cloud has a silver lining. For many years, Muslims who are concerned about the status of Wakf in this country kept on agitating for changes. It is not until 2015 that the Attorney General then, Professor Lethome, who is not a Muslim at all, it is a person I worked with in the review of the Constitution. Actually, I would say he doesn't profess any religion, according to him. He listened to our cry and formed a task force of 10 Muslims. Alhamdulillah, I happen to be part of that task force to collect views and then collate them on the Wakf legislation with a view of coming up with the better legislations and recommendations that will make sure that the institution of Wakf actually realizes the purpose for which it was set. Two, to realign it, to align it with the new constitution of Kenya. Because as it is, it talks of the British governor who was there before independence. It talks of the provincial commissioner, a position that was made obsolete by the new constitution. Alhamdulillah, the task force, despite the interruptions, one of the interruptions is that we were taken to court, not by non-Muslims, but by Muslims, some of them prominent religious leaders, but they happen to be the beneficiaries of the status quo, and they wanted the status quo to remain. So we were appointed in 2015, but imagine we were only able to complete this task sometimes in 2018. So there was all that interruption of this. But individuals and institutions gave their views, and Alhamdulillah, after a very difficult task, we were able to come up with the Wakf Bill 2019, which was submitted to the Attorney General. And as we speak today, and this morning actually, I sought to seek clarification from the current CEO, Dr. Ibrahim Balushi, as to whether it has been assented to by the President. It is still pending. You just need the signature of the President, and Balushi will be ready to implement it. Unfortunately, our leaders are meeting the President for iftar. Actually, several of them have gone for iftar. I don't know why Dr. Balushi has not been there. But instead of talking about the Wakf bill or the Wakf Act, that is just need the signature of the President, nobody is talking about it, but we are planning on how we can lobby for it to be assented to, and especially now that people want votes, and we happen to have some 7 million plus votes, and we want to use that. Okay. Some key proposals. One of them is that we want the title of the act to change from the Wakf Commissioners Act to the Wakf Act. Again, the definition of Muslim to include every Muslim, and then application in the whole country. More importantly, the Muslims must have a say on the appointment and also the composition of the Wakf commissioners, because we believe the people appointed as commissioners have a very significant role on how the commission is going to deliver its mandate and serve the Muslim Ummah, the people it is meant to serve. So there is a lot of there are a lot of views about how they should be appointed and their qualification, and also the composition of the Wakf Commission. Again, it is the new law that establishes the office that our brother Dr. Ibrahim Balushi is holding today. That is the office of the Chief Executive Officer, because we believe we need to have a strong position there within the Secretariat of the Commission for it to be able to operate professionally. About the composition of the commissioners,
besides the Attorney General, because the government has to be represented, but without a say in it, as it is today, 8 members that will be appointed by the president, but not unilaterally, with the recommendation of a selection panel. And the selection panel actually will be a panel of Muslims, prominent Muslims, who will advise the president on who should serve as a commissioner in the Wakf Commission. Top on the list, we said we need somebody who is conversant with the Islamic law. So an alim should be part of the commission. Then a representative of the trustees, and especially because we've had many complaints from the trustees, especially in Awqaf Ahliya, the family Awqaf, that they do not know how the Waqf is being run. So a representative also of the beneficiaries, and then a person who is prominent in business entrepreneurship, because we want the commission, or many Muslims who are interviewed say they want the commission to be run business-like, okay? Then other people who are knowledgeable and experienced in law, we need somebody who is conversant with the law, finance, land economics, social work. And then there will be a director general within the commission who will be an ex-officio and also serve as a secretary. No, the CEO will be the secretary to the commission, but there will be a director general who will serve as an ex-officio member without the right to vote. Now, about the selection panel that will assist the president in identifying those people who are suitable to serve as commissioners, the panel shall comprise of 5 eminent Muslims of either gender, appointed by the president in consultations with key Islamic leaders and organizations. I know in the first draft, we had even put the names of the organizations, but that was lifted out because of the controversy about certain organizations. Again, as it is now, the law does not talk about the qualification of a person who can serve as a commissioner. Then you might ask me, how are those people? What is the criteria used to pick those commissioners? I don't know, because I don't even know why I was picked, just like I don't know why I was degazetted. But under the new law, we have provided for clear qualifications for a person to be a commissioner there. One must be a Muslim, a citizen of Kenya, must have a degree from a university recognized in Kenya, and then a person with this requisite experience at senior management level in public institution. Again, a person who has knowledge and experience in any of the following field: administration, accounting, certified public secretarial work, law, again, land economics, social work, architecture, construction management, or civil engineering. If you look at all these fields, professional fields, you find that they have a bearing. These are people who will add value. They will add value to the work of the commission. On top of that, the law requires that for a person to be appointed as a commissioner with the Wakf Commission, one must fulfill the requirements of Chapter 6 of our Constitution that talks about leadership and integrity. A commissioner must be a person of integrity, and I believe this is very much in line with the teachings of Islam. Now, we have the law in place as a bill which has gone through Parliament. Parliament has exhausted the process. Parliament it's just awaiting the assent of the president. And I know people might think everybody is celebrating. Yes, myself and Dr. Balushi, and those of us who wants to see change in the management of Awqaf in this country, we are celebrating. But unfortunately, there is another fact that we have to take into consideration. There are people who are opposed to those reforms. And I can put them into 2 categories. One, Muslim institutions currently running huge Awqaf. They feel
that the Wakf Commission under the new law will be a threat to what they are already doing. They don't see it as something that will come and strengthen the Awqaf or help them manage the Awqaf in a better way. They see it as competition, or they see a commission that will be so powerful, it will now usurp some of their powers to run this huge Awqaf. This morning, actually, Dr. Balushi was sharing with me some of the institutions. We don't want to mention names, but this is a fact that we have to deal with. Again, those who are beneficiaries of the status quo, those who are living in properties from which they are subletting and earning 500,000 shillings, but paying $4, they would not want these changes. So they are opposed to this. So these are some of the realities that we have to grapple with, even as we celebrate the enactment of the new legislation. Now, what is the future of Wakf in Kenya? This is my view, but it is a considered view from what the facts on the ground, and having interacted with the Wakf Commission and also the review of the law. I believe that if the legal reforms are fully implemented, the institution of Wakf in Kenya is very promising. I believe it is proper, if it is properly managed, we will not have a Muslim patient being quarantined in a hospital, not because of COVID-19, but just because they are not able to pay their hospital bills. No Muslim child will lack school fees. No Muslim institution maybe will lack certain amenities because we don't have resources. The potential is immense, but if only we are able to implement legal and administrative reforms. But more importantly, I mentioned this to my brother, and I keep on telling everybody, yes, you could have very good laws, both legal and administrative reforms, but if they are not embraced by the people, then you will not go far with them. So I believe we need to embark on educating the Ummah, and this is what Dr. Aisha this morning also shared with us. There is a lot that we need to do. We need to invest a lot in educating the Ummah, and not only the Ummah, and even other Kenyans who are also stakeholders on the significance and the importance of Wakf, and the need for Awqaf to be managed in an efficient and professional way. There are so many misconceptions about Wakf. So we need to embark also on educating people and correcting these misconceptions about Wakf, and also the role of the Wakf Commission. There are people who believe that nobody will be able now, the Wakf Commission under the new law will usurp the powers of everybody, and it will run away with all Awqaf in this country without taking into consideration the people who are currently running those Awqaf. Again, we need to support, the Commission needs a lot of support to restore its image, because as it is now, actually, many people have no confidence in the Commission. I remember when we proposed the number of people to be the commissioners, we had started with 9. And when we said 9, somebody, actually we were in Technical University of Kenya, of Mombasa. We were sitting in the hall there. And somebody stood up and said, "Are you proposing 9 people?" Yeah. Then he quoted a verse in the Quran. وَكَانَ فِي الْمَدِينَةِ تِسْعَةُ رَحْتٌ يُفْسِدُونَ فِي الْأَرْضِ. Say now that number 9, and that shows you now the attitude that people have towards this commission. So as we speak, that is the status. Even the appointment of Dr. Balushi is part of the reforms that we are looking for. I'm only hoping, I've not been there since he was appointed, that he has staff that are competent. We have no doubt about his competence. He's well trained, well educated, but without competent staff within that office, I don't think we can go far. So, Sheikh Khalfan, that is all I wanted to share with you, that historical background, and now Dr. Balushi can take up from there. And I don't envy him. I wish him the best, but I don't envy him. from being a dean of students in a big university. Now he's there. But may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make it easy for you, and may you go on record as the person who actually got in to change the status of Wakf in Kenya.
Amen.
Jazakumullahu khairan. Shukran.
Shukran, jazakallah khair.
Back to you, Sheikh Khalfan.